Hello, it's Gray.
Hello, it's Crystal.
And this is Busty Asian Beauties, a supernatural commentary podcast where I, someone who has seen this show many, many times.
And I, someone who only knows the show through social media, discuss every single episode of Supernatural from start to finish. Also, we're both Asian.
Both Asian. For today's episode, we will be discussing Season 5, Episode 10, Abandon All Hope, written by Ben Edlund, directed by Phil Segretia.
Aired 11 years before Dean's death, exactly.
Yeah. They have the same death anniversary. The three of them.
As Joe, I guess, and Ellen. I don't know. Maybe he would like that. How did you feel about this episode? You described it as miserable.
I would say, if we're going to do the do I like it or dislike it, which is how we do it usually. Mm-hmm. I liked it as an episode. I disliked it due to I don't want to be sad right now kind of situation. Yeah. And it's a very sad episode.
Yeah, I felt that there were a lot of famous scenes in it, and a lot of the individual
famous
scenes
shots
were good.
Yeah.
But I think it was less than the sum of its parts. I don't think it was a lot of good scenes held together with silly putty. I don't think it's a good episode. I think it has good acting and good dialogue at points.
It's a miserable episode. Everybody knows this. I think I was a little bit surprised that it still affects me as much as it does. This is still the episode, Because I'm sure this is a common experience for everyone. The first time we all watched this, everybody cried. I'm sure. And I don't know. I think it is a testament to how effective it is that now, I know exactly what's gonna happen. I know exactly the choices Joe and Ellen are gonna make. And I still was so sad the whole way through. That's something.
I think it's mostly an acting thing.
Yeah, Ellen's actor, very excellent.
Joe's as well.
What did you know about this episode before going in? You mentioned a lot of individual scenes, individual parts.
I knew that there'd be the Meg Steele kiss fake out and then throwing her across the holy fire for Cass to get out, cheering and clapping. I know that Joe and Ellen die and that it's partly Meg's fault. And that it's they choose to die together. And then I know that there's the group photo of everyone and Cass is in it. I know that there's a last night on Earth thing where Cass is drinking with Joe and Ellen and Dean tries to sleep with Joe, but it doesn't work because she says that she has self-respect. And I know that when they show up in the town, it's all Reapers. You mentioned, I think, that we would meet Crowley this episode, but I sort of forgot that. I know that Crowley's introduction is him kissing a man while Cass goes, got him. But, exactly. I did not realize, or I wasn't thinking about it until the episode opened, and then it was iconic. But, yeah.
You know how, I'm Crowley hater number 1 in this episode?
You don't like him in this episode?
No. I think I just dislike him conceptually. Because whenever he is on screen, I'm that's so fine. Maybe, when I think about him,
what's
I'm
the concept
so
of him that you dislike?
I don't know. But, as I've been fucking saying this past few episodes, I've been watching other seasons of Supernatural recently. And, whenever Crowley shows up, I'm how fun. How wonderful. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm changing my mind. I will retire.
I know he's Wani's special little guy.
This is true.
So
shout out.
I have an open mind because of that. I think Crowley's like a delight this episode, except for the part where he's watching a documentary about Nazis, and I think the implication is that because he's an evil demon, he likes Nazis.
Yeah, they do this they also do this in a future season.
Like he's a Nazi fan across.
I mean, I'm just gonna
seasons.
spoil it. Like, he raises Amara for a bit, right? And part of her curriculum is watching like Hitler's speeches.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so that's something.
Yeah, I guess it is something. It's very odd when they do these things that don't seem to have any bearing on the rest of their character. Like, they put, like, Nazi sprinkles on characters for, like, no particular reason besides to be, like, they're evil, but, like, comically evil. Like, what? What's the point of that?
I don't know. I think they do not interface with Nazism as, like, something that is still pervasive to this day.
Right.
Like, as a concept. The Supernatural uses it as an aesthetic, as a shorthand for evil. But, like, doesn't actually interface with it as a real thing. Is what I feel.
I mean, Apocalypse World Cass with his German accent seems like a good example. Thing? I think so.
I'm not even sure it's a German accent.
I've read posts where people read it as such.
Ah. I read it as Misha Collins is a terrible actor.
I mean, yeah, that is probably true. I don't know. I guess we'll learn more about Supernatural's relationship with Nazism as we go. But yeah, what an odd thing to do is how I feel about that right now.
Well, we start this episode with a man in a wonderful trench coat that's black. Or coat, I don't know. What is a trench coat? Is that a different thing?
It's a specific style of coat.
Boom.
I don't know what Crowley's coat is.
Well, Crowley is wearing like this, like he's like a dude in all black and everything. And he's just walking under this crossing, I guess. And there is another guy and he's digging up like a hole. I do find it quite fun that they're doing this crossing in this kind of crossing. Because like in the other summoning of crossroads demons that we get are a lot more like crossroads in, you know, that's like a dirt road or whatever. And here it's literally a fucking highway. It's under a fucking highway. And that's a fun visual, honestly. Like, it looks ugly because it's supposed to, maybe. I don't know. But so he does the whole crossroads demon summoning thing. And it's Crowley who shows up. The man who summoned him is extremely uncomfortable over the fact that Crowley's a guy. Because he's like, I was actually talking to a very young, attractive lady. And we're supposed to seal the deal with a kiss. And I don't want to kiss you because you're a guy. There's no like pretense to the fact that that's the reason why he doesn't want to kiss Crowley. And, you know, Crowley calls him out on it. But eventually...
Yeah, Crowley says not gross and underlines it.
Exactly. And eventually, the guy agrees and they kiss. And we get this, like, zoom in to one of the fucking poles of the highway. And behind it is standing Castiel, and he's on the phone. And we zoom in on him, and he's staring directly at these two people kissing. And he goes, got him.
Did Cass know about gay people before this?
I mean, he must know about people in general. Therefore.
Yeah. Therefore, probably. I guess it's like Crowley's a villain, but like an ally / villain. So
That's
like I
the
feel like this
vibe of
doesn't
him forever
fall
and ever.
into any specific.
I mean, it definitely falls into like the gay.
Tropes.
Yeah.
But I guess it could be worse. Like, who do we have? I think, okay, this is directly following Damien and Barnes, which, do we think that's intentional? Like,
what
as like a, don't worry,
about?
there are nice gay people too. Like, I'm just saying, like, how many canonically queer characters with speaking roles have we had so far in Supernatural? Like, the poor dead gay intern. Damien and Barnes.
Gay intern. Lily,
yeah.
And then Crowley, I guess.
And then Crowley.
I love Crowley so much. It took one episode for me to change my mind completely. But it is, he's like, I think he's just unabashedly bisexual, like, throughout the entirety of the show. There's one episode where he was supposed to kill his family, like this, like, he's like possessing the wife, and he's supposed to kill the husband, and then he enters, and the husband is like, "Oh my God, I finally organized that foursome that we were trying to get on with our also a couple friends," and they have the foursome, and then he kills the 3 people.
Wait,
it's
so
kind of iconic.
That's like a good thing.
I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing. I'm saying that it's a fucking iconic. Like, I don't know. It slays.
Big coincidence that happened is my only feeling about that. I guess my point is that I don't have any particular feelings about that whatsoever.
When we get to season 11, you may or may not. I'm sure that at some point, it was coming from the idea of part of what makes him an effective villain is that he is also gay.
He's like perving on Sam and Dean a bit.
No, I didn't really think of that.
Well, not in this episode, but like in future, I believe so.
Yeah, I don't think so. No, I mean, the thing is, like, whenever he does try to come on to Sam and Dean, it is often, like, exhibited jokingly by the show. Like, I don't think he's joking. Like, I think when he tells Dean that they had a summer of love, like, I don't think he was joking.
He was looking quite sadly at that cowboy hat picture.
This is true. I mean, but like my point is like in the show, like they would have this like easy shorthands for like, and this character is kind of evil, and a part of that is like a flexible sexuality. So that's something.
Just like in BBC Sherlock season 4.
What's that mean?
God, it's so bad. Like, you know how he has his evil sister in the prison on the island or whatever? She has like some line about like how she had a sexual experience with a nurse and she thinks the nurse was a woman, but she's not certain because I think the implication is that afterwards she killed her so brutally that like she couldn't tell. And like I guess that's a canon queer character in Sherlock Slay.
I thought you were talking about how the Andrew Scott character
Moriarty?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean Moriarty is a very tropey. Yeah, like he fits all of the evil gay requirements. But like everyone already knows about that. So
do you think
it's time for women?
Do you think it's specifically like a biphobia thing? Because like whenever I think about this trope, I do think there is an aspect of like, oh, I don't discriminate kind of vibe to it, which I think leans more into biphobia, honestly.
I feel like Moriarty is portrayed as pretty specifically gay. Like, when he first shows up and, like, flirts with Molly, like, Sherlock's like, oh, that guy's gay because he gave me his number, and, like, bisexuality isn't a thing. Like, those flirting with Molly meant nothing, blah, blah, blah. But like,
wasn't that, like, a front also?
It was a front, but, like, afterwards, I don't think Moriarty expresses any particular sexual interest in women, partly because there's, like, no women on BBC Sherlock.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that in some
and BBC
cases,
Sherlock is, of course, the full representation of this trope in all of media.
Yeah, I do think in a lot of cases it is a biphobia thing. But in some cases, I think they're just gay. And, like, I guess the thing is, like, the female villains also, like, I think sexuality is a thing for, like, all villains on Supernatural, basically.
Yeah.
It's just that most of the characters are men, so if you have a villain who's, like, whose sexuality is part of their villainy, then, like, they're just gonna be attracted to men regardless of their gender. So, like, I don't know. It's either misogynistic or homophobic, like, however Supernatural does it, you know?
Noah the Gay Gorgon, which is one of my favorite villains from, like, my favorite episode of Supernatural.
Yeah.
Because he, like, does target men.
Yeah.
And then, like, when they ask him, like, wow, so you're gay? I mean, not like that, but they, like, ask him why he targets men or whatever. And he goes, it's because women are so careful nowadays. So it's easier to target men. So I don't know. But also that one is written by Steve Yoki, I'm pretty sure. And I do think there is a little bit more, like, tongue-in-cheek aspect of it. Like, I am willing to be kinder in interpretation for openly queer writers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Except Stephen Moffat. Is he the gay one or is it the other one?
No, it's Mark Gatiss who's the gay one. It's easy to remember because his name has gay in it. However, this doesn't work for everyone. You may have heard of a writer named Neil Gaiman. He's not gay. Very confusing. Cass is on the phone with Dean, and he says that Crowley's making a deal even as we speak. It's going down. He's so special.
Maybe he has never seen a gay person ever.
You do? You think that is the case?
No, I why would he do this? Like, why would he be like this?
What do you mean? What's like this?
Like him being like, as we speak, it's going down. Like, why is he a bit uncomfortable saying that?
Oh,
like,
I just thought it was, like, going down isn't a phrase that he's used to saying. He picked it up from Dean, so he's trying it out. I thought that was what it was.
Okay.
Like, going down is a bit less, like, formal than the language he usually uses.
This is true.
As president of the Cast Might Be Homophobic Club, I'm saying this is not homophobic of Cass.
Exactly.
Dean tells Cass not to lose him. He calls him Huggy Bear again. So the guy that Crowley's making a deal with, like, it's a very long kiss that Crowley forces him into. And then afterwards the guy goes, damn you. But, like, it just sounds weirdly horny. Like, I don't know how you read the damn you, but, like, I think he's just sort of out of breath, and it just reads so much like a you've awakened something in me thing, when I think it's just meant to be like a, well, that sucked. But yeah, whatever. Good for this actor for injecting whatever he was injecting into this. And he heads off. The deal was to get his bank out of something and then become extremely wealthy, but die in 10 years. Cass follows Crowley to some mansion that's layered in Enochian warding magic, so he can't get in. And Dean says, that's okay, you did great.
What's gotten into Dean?
Yeah, what is this? Like, does Dean say this to people?
No.
I guess. When Joe,
to be fair,
does he say anything to Joe?
No. I mean, to be fair, it's because Sam is usually Dean's, like, work buddy. They don't usually work with anyone else. And, like, Dean is not gonna tell Sam, good job, or whatever. So,
right.
I don't know. Maybe, like, to other people, he's kinder. But then, we don't see him with other people like this also. Like, I don't know. I cannot help but think of it as, like, a conscious choice that Dean is doing. Mm-hmm. It must be, right? Because it doesn't come natural to him. You may say it comes supernatural to him.
Yeah. Huh. I don't know. I think... Right, we've talked about how Dean was very concerned about Cass during changing channels, and we think it is because of what he saw during the end, like, making him more aware of what Cass gave up for him at the end of season 4. Is this part of that?
This feels like a bit far from that.
Right. Like, well, okay, I guess it's like, okay, like, why is Cass the person that he's saying good job to? Like, what does he think Cass
is gonna get out
emotionally?
Of it?
Yeah, what is he getting out of it?
I have no idea.
Because it's like, it's in response to Cass being like, okay, I think it is the same thing because, well, okay, it's not quite the same thing, but it is something about Cass's abilities being limited. It's not because he's cut off from heaven, but, like, Dean might not know that. Or
no, he knows about the Enochian sigil.
Right, because of Death Takes a Holiday.
Yeah.
Huh. I don't know. Is it just... Maybe this is, like, a response to, like, his conversation with Bobby in The Curious Case? Like, is he making a general effort to, like, be more appreciative of people because he's aware that feeling useless can lead people to suicidal thoughts, or...
When Sam was like, do we have any last words for each other? Dude just straight up goes, no. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what's going on with this guy.
Okay. I don't know what this that's okay, you did great is. What is this?
I don't know. Like, there's like two possibilities, which is one, this is just like an unconscious thing that he's doing, which as I've expressed, I don't agree with. If it's an unconscious thing that he's doing, why? And if it's a conscious thing that he's doing,
is it like a patronizing thing in any way?
It's definitely not. It doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, I don't know, but if it's unconscious, it might be coming from an unconscious patronizing place. Like, something Cass is a newbie to this, at least.
There could be that perspective that, like, Cass is not a hunter. And so... But Cass is not a civilian. And also, it's not like Dean treats civilians like this.
Yeah, he told that actress that he would be here, sweetheart. I mean, that was pretty patronizing.
I don't know. What is up with Cass and Dean? This is a question that many generations have asked.
I don't know. It probably means nothing at all.
No, because I don't know. Like, there is, for me, like, the feeling of Cass's feelings for Dean are more real. Not that I think it, but, like, I see that perspective, you know, around.
So Dean's just being more careful around him in general because he's like, this guy's kind of into me?
No, like, I find it interesting that is the general attitude towards Dean and Cass. But, like, you watch the show and, like, Dean is so careful with him. And that comes from a place of care. And it's like, I don't know. Like, I for sure have had the thought that like, oh, season, I think I've said this before, but like season 1 to maybe season 10 is like the Cass loves Dean and cares about Dean seasons. And then after that, that's when we really get into like Dean's side of the equation. And now that I'm watching season 5, it's like, well, that's not the case. Like, Dean obviously cares about him here. And I don't know, I'm thinking about season 6 and like how, you know, when Dean is like, oh, you're losing your powers. Well, you're just a baby in a trench coat now. And how that must have hurt more because like there was a time when Dean like cared so much about him in this way and accommodated to him in this way. I don't know. Like, I think I've already thought about Desiel for so long in my life and for so much in my life. But it is fascinating to be watching it again in a more discernive, is that a word? Under a more discerning lens. And still be seeing new things and still thinking new thoughts. It's like gratifying.
Something's happening between them. But yeah, Dean says that he and Sam will take it from here. Right, so we have the brief scene where Crowley's watching like a Nazi movie or whatever.
And that is the whole point of the scene. Like, it's not like a background thing.
Yeah, like the point is like the aesthetic of evil, as you put it. And then we cut to later in the night, and Jo is here, and she's like wearing a black dress. I don't know why. I guess the point is that Crowley lives in like a rich neighborhood, so like Jo's trying to fit in as someone who could be driving through the area. And she like pings the intercom and is putting her best acting voice on, and she's pretty good at it, I think. But she's saying that her car broke down and she needs help. And 2 of Crowley's employees come out, and they're both being quite creepy towards her. They call her pretty lady and baby and all of that, and tell her to come in. And she says that she'll just wait by her car. But then the guy goes demon black eyes mode and grabs her shoulder, but then Jo holds the guy down, and then Sam kills both of them with the knife. Good for him. Very fun. No, actually, Dean says, nice work, Jo. He's just being a nice guy this episode. We spent so long on that. It meant nothing. Dean's just being nice. Or maybe it means something. I mean, Jo and Cass are both Dean love interests, I suppose.
I can't believe that's a statement you can say. But it's true.
He hands her a bag, and she gets out her wire cutters. They are ready to storm the mansion.
I find it even more funny then that, like, Sam was like, do we have any last words? And it was like, no. Ew. And when he's being so
Sam
nice to everyone
like,
else.
And my compliment?
And Dean's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and when Sam goes like, yeah, me neither, it was like, I had like this beautiful speech about our sibling
the importance of family and like how I'm so grateful to be your brother.
Yeah, but I guess you don't feel that way, so let's just die.
Sam and Dean go in and like go to Crowley. They're standing like at the end of a hallway, and Crowley is walking towards them. But then Crowley like stops in front of a carpet. He looks down. He lifts up the carpet, and underneath he sees that they have painted a devil's trap under the rug. And he's like, do you have any idea how much this rug cost? Which is so
He's
iconic.
So fun.
Yeah, and I mean, everybody knows this. He has a British accent, which is the most fun thing in the world. It is. And like, he really does, this actor, Mark Sheppard, really does like the acting thing where like halfway through a sentence you start screaming. He does it so often. That's like an iconic Crowley thing. And he does it later. And I was like, oh my God, that's Crowley. And I'm allegedly a person who hates him, so.
Right.
Two demons attack Sam and Dean. And Crowley like holds up the coat. And he's like, this is what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. And then he aims the gun. And then he shoots the two demons who are hanging out with them.
So fun.
So fun. And I do, like, you know, Crowley is like, oh, the Lucifer doesn't care about us. And the way the story, like, confirms this is by having Lucifer allow the demons in the crowd to be killed. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that's a nice, I don't know, parallel maybe to like Crowley being like, oh, but I care about demonkind and I'm blah, blah, blah. And then he like just fucking ISIS these two. Like, that's fun.
Yeah. I think the assumption is just that if Lucifer found out that Crowley was helping Sam and Dean, then he'd die or whatever. So he can't be certain that these demons aren't loyal to Lucifer. But yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that his, like, Lucifer doesn't care about demonkind is just to save his own ass.
No, yeah, of course. But, like, it's fun to see.
Yeah, it is.
They relocate to another room. And Crowley is talking about how he could have just hidden this gun. But he didn't. He told them. And Sam was like, you told us? And he goes, yeah, rumors, innuendo, set out on the grapevine. How? I mean, it's Becky who tells them. So, did a demon tell Becky, like, oh my God, Becky, do you remember in chapter?
Becky said it was in the book. So,
yeah,
it's possible that Crowley sent Chuck a vision. And like, Chuck just thought it was part of his regular Archangel visions.
It's a possibility. He tells Sam and Dean that he wants them to kill Lucifer because he wants to survive. And there's like a bit where Crowley like that says that like they're like functioning morons, and Dean goes, "You're functioning morons." Dean is such a loser.
Yeah. I think I wrote down Drowley real at this point.
Drowley
I was like,
real.
Dean's flustered.
No.
Because he's like, into this guy.
Drowley is real. Like, maybe it's even realer than STL.
Maybe.
It's crazy.
God.
Kind of crazy.
If like me a year ago had heard this, like they would have killed me.
What do you mean?
But yeah.
Saying that Drowley is real?
We used to be like Drowley haters and Dean Benny haters because we were such cast girls that like
I'm still a
the
Dean
idea
Benny
of
hater.
Dean being with anyone else was like unbearable. But like I think I just my cast girlism has faded, so I'm more willing to say Drowley's real.
Drowley has always been real, which is what has always pissed me off about it. So
fair.
So Crowley is like, oh, Lucifer hates everybody and he thinks demons are the scum of the earth, so just kill him. And yeah, he hands the gun to Sam, and there's this like really awkward moment where they're like, okay, so what are we gonna do? And Sam asks, like, do you know where Lucifer is? Crowley does. And he says that Lucifer will be in Carthage, Missouri on Thursday. And Sam's like, okay, that's wonderful. And then he raises the gun and points it directly at Crowley's forehead. So corny.
Also, like, rude. Like, why? Like, he helped you out, bro.
What is the ship name for Sam and Crowley? It's never... Cram. It's Cram? Oh my god, I completely forgot. This is why Cram is
you forgot about Cram Mondays?
I literally did. I'm so sorry, everyone.
Cram is real because he points, like, the Colt at Ruby's... Or a gun? Was it the Colt specifically at Ruby's chest in Sin City, was it?
No idea what you're talking about.
He, like, blonde Ruby. Like, during the I'll be the devil on your shoulder conversation.
Ah, okay.
Doesn't he point the Colt, like, directly against her collarbone or whatever? This is just foreplay for Sam Winchester.
This is true. Crowley just goes, oh, yeah, you're supposed to have some more ammunition so they can make more bullets. Oh, no, we already established that they can make more bullets.
Ruby helps with the...
create more bullets.
Yeah, and so it's some form of demon ingredient that you need.
So he goes over to a desk drawer and gets the bullets out. And Dean is like, so aren't you like signing your death contract? And also, what if we lose? And Crowley is like, well, we're all going to die anyway. And 2, why don't you not miss? And then he fucking disappears on them. He's kind of fun.
God, he is pretty fun. I had fun during this scene.
It is also, there is like a sense of I mean, of course, we're seeing it in retrospect. But I wonder if when people saw this, they were like, oh, this guy's gonna stick around. There is, I mean, it is pretty obvious that he is, because they wouldn't do the fanfare that they did if he wasn't going to. But it's still fun to, like, you know, think about it. Like, did they realize that they were gonna have this character?
Yeah, he's like the fifth guy on the posters, or the fourth guy on the posters for a lot of seasons.
Yeah, I mean, like, it is, because with Cass, there is the explanation of they just were introducing angels. It wasn't necessarily introducing Cass yet. Mm-hmm. I mean, to us, it's introducing Cass, but no, they're not introducing demons. So this is just like a unique introduction for Crowley.
It's fun. The whole scene is fun. The whole when is the other shoe gonna drop, the whole like this is way too easy vibe is fun, and they don't follow through on it well at all, which I think is a big reason why I thought this was a bad episode.
What do you mean they don't follow through?
Like, it's just like, oh, by the way, the gun doesn't work on Lucifer. Why? Who cares? I don't know. Why didn't Crowley know this? Who knows? I don't care. Bye. Is like the payoff for this cult thing. And I think it's not good writing. So, we're in Bobby's house, and Joe and Ellen are drinking with Cass, and it's wonderful.
It's wonderful. Ellen goes, all right, big boy, which I love. So fun. Yeah.
And Cass goes, well. And then he just does 5 shots in a row.
And he looks so amused with himself and with the drinking and everything.
Yeah. And he goes, I think I'm starting to feel something. And Joe smiles at him, and it's sweet. I'm glad that they got to, like, is this the first time Cass has met them?
Yeah, I think so. And it's like the first time he's hanging out with the group. Like,
yeah.
I don't think he ever just sticks around to hang out with, like, Sam and Dean and Bobby. Much more, you know, Ellen and Joe.
Disappear as soon as he's not needed anymore kind of guy, but he's here now. He's part of the gang.
Having Cass disappear is still the coolest fucking thing. Like, honestly. Like, earlier when they were doing the transition shots for, like, when Crowley leaves and Cass follows him, and it's like he's walking and then a post passes and then he's gone, and then later on when he goes up into that building and it's like he's looking up to it, and then it cuts to him looking down at the at the street. Like, it's so fucking cool.
Yeah, thank you, Phil Secretia.
Yeah, hi Phil. Me and Phil, we have an intimate relationship. We know each other.
Biblically. So, Sam and Dean are talking, and Sam goes, "It's gotta be a trap, right?" And Dean goes, "Sam Winchester having trust issues with a demon. Well, better late than never." But, like, it's actually quite sweet because Sam just laughs and goes, like, "Thank you again for your continued support." And, like, I did find it fairly, like, I fucking hated Dean's attitude towards Ruby. But, like, it's nice that they're at, like, a healthy place with this at this point.
Yeah, like
I
they
feel
can
like
laugh
that's
about
Fallen
it.
Idols, like, paying off. And yeah, it's nice. I'm glad that they're doing well. Dean says that we just have to take this chance even if it is a trap. Like, there have been a lot of omens in Carthage, which is where Crowley said Lucifer was, and there's been 6 missing people. He also says that Sam can't come with them.
And Sam goes, with Dean, you know that if we're going to do it, we're going to do it together, which is Supernatural is so wide. There's three plot lines that repeat in every episode of Supernatural, and this, if we're gonna do it, we're going to do it together. Is like number 1.
It really is.
And number 2 is, of course, I don't want to talk about it, Sally. The thing that's going to make me feel better is if we go hunting
and kill monsters on the road. Yeah. We should re-vlog that post. I think we've quoted it twice by now.
Exactly.
Yeah, just the idea is that, you know, if Sam's there, that's Lucifer's vessel, and if somehow Lucifer gets Sam to say yes, then it's game over. But, you know, that we're gonna do it together somehow works. And Dean just goes like, "Okay, but it's a stupid idea." And then he looks over at where Cass, Ellen, and Joe are, and specifically he's like, well, Sam goes, "Talk about stupid ideas," and Dean goes, "True that." And then he walks up to Joe, and there's a shot of her ass that the camera makes very clear is what that shot is for, which Phil Segretia also did to Joe in, like, season 2, I'm pretty sure, right? Like, that was a Phil Segretia specific thing. I remember being angry at him for it.
Come on, Phil. The only thing I remember Phil Segretia about is the hotel room. The motel room
in Providence.
Shot. Truly still one of the most iconic Supernatural scenes of all time.
Truly. This conversation was at the fridge, like, 2 feet away from, like, Cass and Ellen. Like, I don't know how Dean has the lack of shame necessary for this, but he's standing very close to her. He's going, "Hey, so... dangerous mission tomorrow. Guess it's time to eat, drink, and, you know, make merry."
He's so fucking annoying.
It's awful that, like, he thinks that he's good at flirting because he's, like, conventionally attractive.
So, literally, like, he's so not.
Like, you're really bad at it, Dean Winchester. And Joe goes, "Are you giving me the last night on Earth speech?" And Dean goes, "What?" And she goes, "What?" Oh, they'd be so kind of fun iconic if they were friends. But yeah, I guess they are friends, but I feel like Dean's overly focused on other things. And Dean goes, "No." But
I mean, yeah. Dean is, like, I wouldn't say overly focused, but like, I think they have a fine friendship.
Yeah.
You don't think so? I mean, I think perhaps
she's been gone for like 2 seasons. So it's hard for me to know.
I think because Joe doesn't feel like a powerless person in this dynamic, I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Like, Dean wants to fuck, well, it's fine. And she doesn't, it's fine. Like, I do not think it detracts from their friendship. Like, at all.
I guess I think it detracts in terms of I think I'm just mad that they kiss in this episode and that they try to make it seem like they had this giant epic love story.
That's when, not what she's the kiss been gone
was, for
though.
She's been gone for 2 seasons. I mean,
he was just comforting her.
It's also just it's Dean's face looking at Joe's burning photo as the last shot.
Like they are closer. They are closer than Sam and Joe.
Well, mostly I was like, Ellen died too. That's how
Ellen died
felt
too.
about
This is true. And yeah, I don't know. I'm fine. I want to defend Joe and Dean, not in a shipping way. They're friends, I think, and like I want to defend that. It's because the fandom doesn't like Joe, or like I was there when the fandom didn't like Joe.
I like
and so
Joe.
I feel
I just
very,
wish
very
Dean never was there in the show ever. So, like, I don't have any issue with what Joe does in the Dean and Joe relationship.
Yeah, but like there is still like, you know, like she is still part of that dynamic, and that dynamic only comes out when she's there. So,
but like it's Dean's the issue, though.
Yeah, I'm not saying that like against you. I'm just saying that like this is like the mindset people have, which is the one that I like. Like it informs my, I guess, decision to be like, it's fine. And I do solemnly think it's fine, even outside of that. Like, I think sometimes this is what friendship is like.
Huh. Maybe.
Yeah. At any given point in time, you should have a guy who wants to fuck you in your friend group.
I would not enjoy that personally.
It's horrible. This is true.
I just think that Dean is so annoying. Like, I think I would like their friendship better if Dean didn't want to fuck her. Do you feel that that is true of you as well?
I just do not see the point in being like, what if it was a completely different thing? Like, obviously, that's not their dynamic. Sam doesn't want to fuck her, and their relationship is boring.
Well, that's because they just don't let them have scenes together, and also because they don't let women have scenes in general unless they're a love interest. It's like, is the point that Joe had to be a love interest in order for her to be a developed character in Supernatural?
She's not a love interest.
She's not. Okay. I just use that term to mean that one of the main characters is interested in her romantically. I guess I don't mean it in the terms of like that's her main role in the story.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just have this perspective of Joe and Dean's relationship as, like, I'm sure if we talk to the writers who wrote this, they would have a very different perspective of what is happening on screen right now than I do. Like, I think this is like, I think it's fine. Perhaps, like, the kiss at the end was really like they're trying to tell us that they had, like, a love story all along.
That's what it felt like from my perspective, at least. Especially coupled with the photo shot at the end.
I think maybe if I was watching this the first time, I would have the same reaction as you.
Okay.
But because, like, I've brewed on it. Like, I have justified it in my head, you know, already. Since way back. And I have already this established in my head since way back that, like, that's not what their dynamic is.
She's only been in, how many episodes has she been in? Like, really not many.
Yeah, but she's still a substantial character.
Yeah, okay, she was in 4 episodes of season 2, and then she was in Good God, Y'all, where she had not really a role at all, I would say, and now she's here.
Like, when I think of Joe, well, I do not think about Sam and Joe, like, at all. I think about Joe and Dean a bit, but predominantly it's like a mother-daughter relationship. Yeah, so I think Joe is a well-written character, and
I agree.
I think her relationships are well-written.
I think that she is a well-written character. I think that the 2-season absence has destroyed any continuity thoughts I've had about her personality. Like, I like her when she's on screen, but I don't know if I understand her because she's been absent for so long. Dean goes like, no, I'm not doing that. But like, if I was, like, would that work? And Joe leans in really close, but before their mouths touch, he goes, no, sweetheart, if this is our last night on Earth, then I'm going to spend it with a little thing I call self-respect. And then she leaves. Good for her. Iconic. And Dean just mutters if you're into that kind of thing. They gather around to get a group photo because Bobby wants them to. And he says, I'm gonna need something to remember your sorry asses by. And Ellen goes, always good to have an optimist around. And Cass says, like, tomorrow we hunt the devil. This is our last night on Earth. And then...
What a fucking killjoy.
He's so important to me. And the photo happens. And Cass is just standing there all serious. I mean, everyone looks kind of serious, except for Dean, who's making the world's goofiest face and is also standing in between Ellen and Joe. Which,
yeah,
I don't understand. What a stupid way to frame it. Because, like, at the end, when they're like, it's so sad that Ellen and Joe are dead, they have to, like Dean's stupid fucking face is in the middle of the shot whenever they're showing the photo.
Yeah. Ellen's serving so much cunt in this photo. Like,
she is.
Like, everybody is, like, arms around each other and everything. And Ellen's just, like, in the middle, posing the hell out of her life.
Yeah,
and
Cass
it's iconic.
Doesn't have his arms around anyone either, right?
Well,
he's got his
Sam
chin
has
slightly
his
tilted
arm.
up.
Sam has his arm around Cass.
Oh my god, love is real.
Yeah, love is real. I want to clarify something a little bit from earlier.
Okay.
Like, I think the reason why I'm fine with the Ellen and Dean... sorry. Well, I'm also fine with the Ellen and Dean relationship. The reason why I'm fine with the Dean and Joe relationship is that it's not like when Joe, like, rejects Dean that it changes their dynamic.
Yeah.
Which is, like, why I'm like, it's fine. Like, they're still friends. And they really are. Like, it's not like Dean only wants to fuck her. Like, he also cares about her, like, holistically. Like, I don't think it would be a better relationship if he doesn't want to fuck her, because I don't think that's an inherently bad thing to want. It's just that you should also, like, your respect for that person shouldn't only exist in that context. Like, if he says no, will you still be normal? And the answer for Dean is very much yes. So it's fine.
Yeah. It's just, I think it's just the Phil Secretia ass shots and all of that, like, makes it feel worse when, because it's like, well, if Dean didn't want to fuck her, we wouldn't have the Phil Secretia, like, ass shots. Like, I feel like some directing choices seem to be objectifying
they're definitely
Joe, even if Dean himself is not doing it, but, like, because he's the character stand-in for that, I think I feel uncomfortable about it.
there definitely is much to be said about like them as people, if you look at it that way, and also Supernatural as a TV show dealing with that. Like the way Supernatural frames it, like there is like, you know, the way they move the camera around Joe and everything. But like if we're just talking from like Dean and Joe's perspective, like outside of that, which I mean, of course you can't, but you understand what I mean, right?
Yeah, I understand what you mean. If they were real people, I would not have an issue with their relationship.
Yeah. It's just because maybe like the way Supernatural have historically been and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah, after that super fun photo shoot where Cass ruins everybody's night, they are driving in town to, what's this? Carthage, right? Fun name, honestly. Yeah. And there's like, I think I see this around a lot because there's like a billboard behind them that says like anti-God is anti-American with like a giant US of A flag.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're like driving through and they're having trouble with the signal. The place is completely fucking empty. Ellen and Joe drive beside them and they're like, what's happening? Ellen and Joe park and Cass is sitting with them. It's so cute, honestly.
It's so like, fun. Like, he had one night of drinking with them and he was like, these are my new best friends. Actually, fuck the Winchesters. I want to ride with you guys.
Literally. And, you know, Ellen and Joe hop out and Cass just stays in the car. And Joe leans over and knocks in his window and goes, have you ever heard of a door handle? And as she turns around, Cass is already outside and standing there. And he goes, of course I have. So true. And it is also, like, later on, they talk about the fact that he rides in a car. And that he thought it was odd. And he still did it. Like, he could have just teleported.
Yeah. He wanted to hang out with Joe and Ellen.
He literally fucking did. I kind of understand now the reason why they were like, we need to power Cass down in future seasons, even more than we already have. Like, the only reason Joe died is because Cass isn't here.
Cass was elsewhere, yeah.
My God, that's crazy. And like, the way they're like, oh, Cass can go out now because Sam and Dean need saving.
Yeah, Joe needed saving. Ellen needed saving.
Well, Cass is like looking around town and he goes, this town is not empty. There's like, you know, a transition shot where we see what Cass is seeing. And it's all people in suits and they're all standing and they're all looking at like one point.
Yeah, I mean, they all look like old men. And it's like, I'm still trying to figure out what the fuck the Reaper demographics are, because it's like Tessa, like young hot woman, and then just like old men, like for the rest. Like, congrats on her transition. Like, what is this?
Literally.
Right, because later we have Billy, and we have Violet, who, like, Lucifer forces to become Death in, like, the, like, 1519 or whatever. So, yeah, like, first, like, where are the wrinkly old women Reapers? Like, why is it just, like, hot girls and, like, old men?
Well, there's so much of them. Like, at some point, they say, like, about a dozen is the count they give. But from what we see, like, it's even more than that. And Cass says that, like, they only gather around like this in times of great catastrophe. So he's like, I'm gonna go off and see what they're up to. And there's, like, you know, this iconic shot of Cass walking alone in the street from what Joe and Ellen can see. And as Cass is walking, he sees that there's, like, a fucking Reaper, like, up the building. And then, again, like, the transition shot I was talking about earlier, it goes from him looking up the window and then to him looking down onto the street. So fun. So fun. So good. And as he walks into the building, there's a voice that goes, hello, brother. And then, like, really bright light. Which later on we find out that it's a circle of fire.
Man, how is Cass doing, like, internally? Like, he met Raphael in 503, Gabriel in 508, and, like, Lucifer now. Like, he's just, like, going through all the archangels. Like, how's he doing?
Yeah, how is he doing? We don't really reflect on it.
Yeah, like, he doesn't talk much about how he feels about being cut off from heaven and, like, meeting all of these, like, powerful angels who meant something to him at some point.
He will emote later on in the season.
Right. Yeah, he's gonna look up at the ceiling and look really sad.
Yeah, he's gonna go on a bender.
Right.
He's gonna tell Sam, don't ask me stupid questions when Sam asks if he's okay. So that's our answer. How's he doing? Don't fucking ask stupid fucking questions.
Poor guy. What is he doing when he's, like, not, like, with the Winchesters? I guess, is he still looking for God?
Yeah.
Like, okay. Like, he hasn't abandoned all hope regarding that?
I mean, do you know about the upcoming episodes, what they're gonna be? There's gotta be a big one about looking for God.
Yeah. That's the one where he looks up at the ceiling really sad with wet eyes, right?
Yeah, do you know the context of that? Like, what happens in that episode?
Did he say something about, like, I believed in you, you bastard, or something?
Yeah, but, like, do you know
does he meet... Is that the Joshua one?
Yeah, yes.
Right. He meets Joshua and he's, like, the gardener for heaven, and then he finds out something regarding God, but I don't know what. Yeah, so I guess he is still looking. And he still has the Samulet. Joe and Ellen meet back up with Sam and Dean. Like, they're all like, I don't know where Cass is. And they tell Sam and Dean about the Reapers. And now we're to Cass in Holy Fire. And he looks so good the rest of this episode because of the lighting of the Holy Fire.
Literally.
Like, his eyes look so big and luminous. Like, it's crazy how good his eyes look. Especially because the shadows make it look like they're, like, brown and not blue. Like, it's really helpful.
When there is a fucking shot of Cass's face and it's so obviously that he has blue eyes, I do get the shock of my life.
Yeah. He sees Lucifer in Nick, like, in the room. And Lucifer goes, so I take it you're here with the Winchesters. And Cass goes, I came alone.
He's such a liar. It's so iconic.
God, I love him.
And he's so bad at it.
Yeah, like, he hesitates a bit at first because he's like, oh shit, what do? Lucifer goes, loyalty, such a nice quality to see in this day and age. And he goes Castiel, right? But he pronounces it like Castiel, basically.
No one will ever pronounce Cass's name right. Like, this is why they gave him the nickname Cass, because they're like, we don't know how to pronounce Castiel.
So that implies that they have not met before. Yeah. Was Cass, like, there when Lucifer fell, or, like, is he, like, a newer angel? Like, was it just the archangels first?
I don't know.
I'm sure it comes up at some point. But yeah, they haven't met. And then he goes, I'm told you came here in an automobile. And Cass goes, yes, love him. And Lucifer asks what that was like. And Cass just kind of looks around awkwardly, and he's like, slow, confining. And Lucifer goes, what a peculiar thing you are.
What a peculiar thing he is.
Cass is so important to me. But yeah, so Nick's skin seems to be, like, peeling away, and this is because he's not really containing Lucifer properly. And Cass goes, you are not taking Sam Winchester. I won't let you. Sastiel is real. Lucifer's like, I don't know why you're so mean to me when you're just like me for real.
Yeah, this is just like what Raphael said.
Yeah, it is. He says that both of them both of them rebelled and were cast out, and all of heaven wants to see them dead. And if Lucifer dies, Cass becomes public enemy number 1. So, I guess that is true, because he, like, tried to foil the apocalypse, which was, like, the main event of heaven for its entire existence, but that is still very funny to me. Like, worst angels ever. Number 1, Lucifer. Number 2, Castiel. Lucifer says, like, it's in Cass's best interest to help him out. But Cass says, I'll die first. And Lucifer goes, I suppose you will. I'm sure Cass has already had all of these thoughts, especially because Raphael brought it up in 503. So
it is so fun
not
to
learning
see
anything new.
Cass's convictions. Like,
yeah.
That's him.
Mm-hmm. Sure is.
In the street, like, the 4 other people are there, and they're talking about how, like, they lost Cass and everything.
I go back and forth between Destiel being real and not being real, and every time Dean implies that he mostly cares about Cass for his utility, I go, Destiel isn't real. Because this time he's like, oh, this is great, we lost the angel up our sleeve.
As they're walking, Meg shows up.
Hi, Meg.
Dean aims the Colt at her, but she's like, well, I didn't come here alone. And suddenly there's growling and barking and everything. Dean is so obviously, like, terrified of this. These are hellhounds. Like, they're invisible dogs. Meg is like, my father wants to see you. They say no, obviously. And Meg is like, well, I'm going to sick the dogs on you. And Dean shoots one of the dogs. And then they start running. The important bit is that Joe gets scratched really bad.
While she's trying to save Dean, because he's, like, about to get killed by a hellhound.
Yeah. Dean eventually is able to, like, pick up Joe. And they run into a store. And they sit there. And, like, I don't know. There's, like, no way to communicate it through podcasts. But the way Ellen is being acted in the scene is truly, like, it's really good. Like, at first she is, like, trying to do the, like, okay, we're doing okay. You know, like that voice that you put on when you're in a bad situation. And the wound is really bad. Ellen is, you know, putting on her, oh, it's going okay, it's doing fine, it's fine face in front of Joe. And then when she turns around and looks up at Sam and Dean, she's, like, absolutely horrified. Like, later on, they're like, you know, like, Joe has been fixed up as much as she could be. And Sam goes up to Dean, and Dean asks, like, how's she holding up? And then Sam just doesn't respond. And then he goes, the salt lines are holding up. Which, like, I mean, it's pretty funny. I thought it was a bit funny. It's, of course, truly very sad when it's happening. Sam's like, we're trapped here like rats. And Dean is just like, no, but we have to do it. We have to do it. It's what we came here for. Dean calls Bobby. And this scene is the one that, like, really got to me, I believe. Aside from, like, the Ellen and Joe scenes, obviously. Like, because Bobby has expressed in the past feeling useless in this kind of situation. And he has explicitly said that the apocalypse is happening. And, like, I can't even go out on the field and fight in the field. And, like, I don't know, I was thinking, like, oh, what must Bobby feel in this moment? Like, Joe is literally dying. I mean, he's obviously very useful. Like, he's like, he gives the lore and everything. But still, like, Dean is like, hi, Bobby, we have problems. And he goes, it's okay. That's what I'm here for. Is everyone all right? And Dean is like, no, it's Joe. Like, she's doing really bad, and I don't think she's going to make it. But like he doesn't say it fully. He's like, you know, he's very emo.
I don't think and his throat closes up. Yeah.
Yeah. But Bobby is like, let's just do what we have to do. What's our next step? And then they figure out that Lucifer is trying to summon death.
Okay, also, I feel like Bobby isn't unaffected by this. He's just doing a thing where he's like, I'm here to keep shit together because I can tell that Dean is about to break emotionally. Like, that's what his, like, what do we do next, Dean thing is.
Yeah.
So Meg comes in, she's reporting to Lucifer, and she says that she has the Winchesters pinned down for now, so, like, what should I do with them? And Lucifer goes, leave them alone, and Meg is like, I'm sorry, but are you sure? Shouldn't we? But he cuts her off and goes, like, trust me, child, everything happens for a reason, and, like, strokes her face. And yeah, I don't know. Meg is fascinating to me, the way that, like, Azazel was her father and now Lucifer is her father. And, like, her whole thing is that, like, the way that she gets by, like, emotionally or whatever is just to pick a cause and stick to it. Like, she wants to be teacher's pet so bad, but, like, she also wants to be running the show, but also, like, she isn't running the show because she wants to be teacher's pet so bad. Cass notices that there's a pipe bolted to the wall, which he'll use later. And Lucifer's just like, you know, like, while we're waiting on the Winchester to do something, like, Cass, you want to be besties? Back inside of the store, like, Joe's just getting more and more sickly looking on the ground. And Ellen's just, like, holding her, like, telling her, like, you're gonna be okay. Sam and Dean are discussing the case, but within earshot. And they're gonna get to the farm and kill the devil, but first they're gonna try to get Joe and Ellen out of town, trying to find a stretcher, all of that. And Joe, like, from the ground just goes, stop. Guys, stop. And she asks, like, can we be realistic about this, please? Like, she can't move her legs, and she can't get out, and, like, their priority should be killing the devil. She says, I can't fight, I can't walk, but I can do something. We've got everything we need to build a bomb. And, I mean, everyone hates this plan due to how it's misery-inducing. But she insists, she says, like, you got any other plan? And the Hellhounds are going to be after them forever because they have their scents. So she's just going to let the Hellhounds into this building and then explode all of them to give them a head start. And Ellen is, like, crying at this point and says, like, no, like, I won't let you. And Joe then appeals to Dean as, like, we have to take this opportunity. But Ellen goes, no, again. And then Joe goes, Mom, this might literally be your last chance to treat me like an adult. Might want to take it? And, like, she's smiling through the pain and misery, and Ellen is crying even harder, but she tells Sam and Dean, like, you heard her. Get to work. Ugh, it's so miserable. Like, the last time we properly see Joe is in Born Under a Bad Sign, because, like, I mean, 502 also counts, but it doesn't really count that much. And, like, that's when she learns about her dad's death, right? Being, like, at the hands of demons, but, like, he was tortured for hours, and then John finally killed him at the end, right? That was what she, like, her main Born Under a Bad Sign thing. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like she and Ellen are probably both thinking about that right now. Ugh, I don't know. It's miserable. It's miserable. And I guess 502 does count, because it's the episode where they both think the other one's possessed. Like, they've been through so much shit, and Joe's fought so hard to be a hunter, knowing that this is going to be where it ends up for her, probably. But it's still so early, and it's so miserable. But I guess at least they have each other. Sam and Dean start assembling the bombs. And there's a moment where, like, Sam holds Joe's hand for a bit, while Dean, like, sets it up so that there's, like, a button in her hand that she can push. And he tells her, okay, this is it. I'll see you on the other side, probably sooner than later. And Joe goes, make it later, and I guess it's later by 11 years. He holds onto her hand for a bit, and then he kisses her once on the forehead and once on the mouth. And they, like, hold their heads together for a bit, and then he heads out. And, like, you're right that it is mostly a comfort thing, but it also does feel like an epic love story thing. But whatever, we've already discussed it. Ellen comes back, and Joe starts realizing, like, why Ellen isn't leaving, why Ellen is smiling. She goes, like, Mom, no. And Ellen says, like, somebody's gotta let them in. Like, you're not moving, but you got me, Joe. And you're right. This is important. But I will not leave you here alone. And, like, Joe's, like, smiling at this point, which I think is what, like, really got me, because she's been trying so hard to be, like, very brave and very practical the whole time. And, like, she doesn't want her mom to die, but, like, more than that, she doesn't want to die alone. And, like, she is letting, like, some of that, like, selfishness or whatever through here. And it's, it gets to me.
Yeah.
And then they decide to explode the only 2 female hunters that they have forever.
They literally did.
Yeah, they're like, we gotta take them both out at the same time so that we can put, like, Crowley and Cass on future posters for sure. God, yeah. It's awful. Everyone who's like, I hate Jack because they decided to bring in, like, one more, like, permanent character to Supernatural, and it was, like, another white man. Like, I understand you. Like, I love Jack, but I understand very strongly where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Ellen tells them to get going. I said go. And as they both walk away, Ellen goes, and Dean, kick it in the ass. Don't miss.
Sam literally
and
does
Sam's
not exist.
compliment.
And Sam's advice. And Sam's last parting words.
God, they hate Sam so... I don't understand why they act like Sam doesn't exist in so many episodes of Supernatural.
You remember when, like, in 502, when I was like, Ellen
only
Sam or
hugs
something.
Dean.
And she literally does.
Like, she does. She hates his ass.
She literally does.
Dean and Sam both leave. Ellen opens the doors, gets the tanks ready, moves away the salt line, and she goes back and holds Joe, and she tells her, I will always love you, baby. But then she realizes that Joe has already died, which is miserable.
And it's like when she starts crying, like, because she was crying prior, but, like, it's still, like, a controlled, you know, like, she's still trying to control it. And then, like, Joe's dead, and she just lets it all out. And it's so powerful. Like, it's so impactful.
Yeah. Her face just scrunches up. It's like, she doesn't have to be brave anymore.
Like, that's her kid.
Yeah. She goes,
I cannot even imagine.
It's okay. Yeah.
Just like Cass tells Lily Sander.
And she kisses Joe on the head, and she goes, that's my good girl. And there's like the doors bust open and the hellhounds come in, and then there's just some action shots of Sam and Dean escaping, and then her like holding Joe's finger against the button that's like strapped to Joe's hand, which is so miserable. And she goes, "You can go straight back to hell, you ugly bitch," and explodes the entire store.
And they explode and die, literally.
Yeah, they did explode and die. I guess Joe was already dead, though, so it was just Ellen. Or it was they, them, Ellen, who exploded and died.
Yeah, truly a scene. I do respect that they gave them this send-off. Like, I think if Supernatural ended in season 5, I would have less like overall negative feelings about this, because it's like, well, it's like the last season, characters are dying, and it's like, you know, that's just how it is. But because like Supernatural continues on for the rest of time, there is like a bitterness to it, you know, like, oh, come on.
Yeah, at least they killed Ash first.
Literally. And like the send off is like massive, you know, like it's unmissable.
They get
and it's like you don't forget it. So like that's something. Goodbye, Joe and Ellen. We will see them again.
Yeah, in Dark Side of the Moon, I assume.
Yeah. So Sam and Dean, there's a shot of them looking at this explosion, but then, you know, they have to keep on going. They end up in the field that Bobby was talking about. And there's just like so many men specifically who are just standing around this field. And they're just lined up staring at Lucifer, who was digging up something. And yeah, this is when Sam was like, okay, do we have any last words? And he was like, nah. So true. And then they go in, and Sam calls Lucifer's attention and says like, hi, do you want to see me? Whatever.
And he's yelling. He's not. Yeah. But yeah.
Wait, what do you mean?
Oh no, I'm just saying that you said it like, hi, do you want to see me? Which was not the vibe.
He's like knocking at the teacher's door like, you asked for me to come to your office?
Yeah. Like, did I do really good on the essay? Like, you wanted to compliment me? Like, what?
Yeah. And Lucifer's just talking when Dean comes up to his side, holding the colt to his
Lucifer
forehead.
says that he'd never hurt Sam, not really.
Yeah. And Dean goes, yeah, well, I'd hurt you. And he shoots
you like, don't clue him in. Like, sneak attacks should be sneak attacks, bro. Like, save your cool lines for after. Like, if you shot him and it worked and then you went, I'd hurt you, it would still be cool and it would be less likely that he gets away.
Dean shoots Lucifer in the forehead with the Colt, and he just falls to the ground. And Sam and Dean are like, is he dead? What's happening?
Yeah, Sam does like a mini, like, yes, like a little bit.
So true. Except it's too early for that, Sam, because Lucifer just takes a breath and wakes up again. He like acts like, oh, that stung a bit, but you know, ultimately he doesn't die. And he says that this is like, that he is one of the 5 things in all of creation that the cult cannot kill.
Okay, so it's
what's the
Lucifer,
5? So I suppose the 4
death.
archangels. Oh no, it's just
All
Lucifer.
Is it like the 4 archangels plus God?
I mean, it could be, but they do kill death with the scythe, not the cult. What are?
So which of the 4 archangels can be killed with the Colt?
Here, wait. What are the 5 things the cold can't kill? Oh, 5 things in creation, not like individual person.
So like archangels, God, death. And then what are the other 2?
I don't know how real this is. It says this list is so funny. I don't think it's true. I think this is like the search engine like getting whatever. But the 5 that they listed immediately is archangels, Shedim, I don't know what that is, Leviathans, bearer of the mark of Cain, Castiel, and Metatron.
Castiel could totally be killed by the cult.
No, but here, in Reddit, 8 years ago, the darkness, God, and death are like the 3. No, are not part of creation, so they aren't capable of being on the list. The 5 things have to be species, not individuals. Otherwise, you'd have way more than 5. So, archangels is what they say. Horsemen is what they say. Leviathan.
Okay.
And then Knights of Hell or bearer of the mark of Cain.
Okay, and then Nephilim, right? Because they needed a special gun for Jack.
Oh my god, you're probably right. But this person said Eve, but maybe that's just, maybe Jack's not here yet.
Huh. Yeah, I just, like, when they said 5, like, they had to have a list, right? Like, you don't say
you don't
numbers
just say 5.
unless you know what the things are. Ben Edlund, call us.
Maybe Ben Edlund was like, they'll figure it out in the future.
Sure. Maybe so. But yeah, anyway, I thought that was stupid. I mean, I get that the point is like, you think that the twist is gonna be that Crowley betrayed them, but actually Crowley was correct, just uninformed. And like, sure, that could be fun, but like, I don't know. It's stupid. I wish there was some amount of foreshadowing that would be the case, because or else it just feels very out of nowhere. Lucifer goes like, I don't suppose you just say yes here and now to Sam? Like, just like end all of this tiresome discussion. And Sam goes, it's never gonna happen. And Sam's very angry. He's very tense during this whole scene. And Lucifer just refuses to match him. Like, all of Sam's anger just seems to be going into a giant pit. Because Lucifer's very breezy the whole time, very self-assured. He's like, oh, I don't know. I think it'll happen soon, within 6 months. And I think it'll happen in Detroit. Which is what was true in Endverse. So, I guess that's a point, and the Endverse was real bucket sad. And Sam goes, you listen to me, you son of a bitch. I'm gonna kill you myself, you understand me? I'm going to rip your heart out. And Lucifer's just like, oh, cool, just keep being angry. That it's gonna be helpful for me. And Sam doesn't want him to win, so he calms himself down for a second and then asks what this whole ritual thing is. And apparently Lucifer got one demon to possess each able-bodied man, and then he killed everybody else and buried them. I don't understand why that was, like, why? like demons control the body. Like Meg's body was like wrecked to hell, but like Meg the demon kept her together. So like, I don't understand what the able-bodied thing, and I really don't understand the men thing. I don't think that, like, a demon's... Is it, like... Oh, wait, like, the demons possessed all the men to kill the women and children and bury them. But, like, I don't think that the strength of a demon is actually that related to the strength of the body. And also, I'm sure there were some buff women and children around. But, whatever. I think Lucifer's just a misogynist. A misogynist and an ableist. So, yeah, like, they killed all the women, children, they buried them down there. And he goes like, I know what you must think of me, Sam, but I have to do this. You of all people should understand. And Sam, like, just like in Changing Channels, goes, huh? What's the theme?
But
what's a parallel?
In fairness, in this opportunity, like, yeah, I also was like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? So it's fine.
Yeah.
It's not a secret.
Yeah. Sam's so good at recognizing mirrors sometimes, and he's so bad at it other times. But yeah. They just do the thing Supernatural's been doing that I find really annoying, where they really hammer home the parallels. And Lucifer's like, I was a son, a brother, like you, a younger brother, like, okay, who give a fuck?
So fucking true.
And he says that he loved his older brother Michael and idolized him, and then one day he went to him and begged him to stand with him, and Michael turned on him and called him a freak. He did not call you a freak. If we had, like, auditors in heaven, I could find that recording, and I know that he did not call you a freak. This is the fucking Anna. Like, I was always on the road. Bullshit. Like, you don't have to be so heavy-handed and unrealistic and stupid about your parallels, Supernatural. And he's like, and he beat me down all because I was different and because I had a mind of my own. Like, no. Like, that isn't what happened, though. So, yeah. He just talks in such vague terms. I don't know why Supernatural thinks that this is, like, rhetoric that would convince anyone and that would convince Nick. Like, he's just saying the vaguest shit. Like, it's clear that you're covering up something shady. Like, this isn't powerful speaking. It's nothing.
Yeah.
But he's like, tell me something, Sam. Any of this sound familiar? Like, okay, what is supposed to be the direct parallel of Sam going to Dean and begging him to stand with him? Like,
no idea.
Drinking demon blood? Like going to Stanford? I don't think Dean beat him down and called him a freak and a monster for going to Stanford, personally. But, you know, I wasn't there.
There's a possibility.
Yeah. There's also the implication that Sam idolized Dean as a child.
I mean, I think that's true.
Idolized? Like,
yeah.
I think there was an amount of admiration, but okay. After School Special. I don't think so.
I think in future episodes there definitely will be a case for Sam idolizing Dean.
Okay, but not in After School Special. I think there is a case for it in A Very Supernatural Christmas, perhaps, but not in After School Special, but whatever. I guess maybe it's a mixed bag. So Lucifer chants in Enochian at the hole, and then he has all the demons repeat after him, and they all say that they offer up their lives, bloods, and souls to complete this tribute, and then they all, like, flash gold and, like, fall over. And Sam and Dean are both like, damn, what the fuck? And Lucifer goes, what? They're just demons. Back to Cass, looking really hot. He's, like, using his mind to, like, spin, like,
unscrew something
on the pipe. Yeah. And Meg's watching over him. And, like, I mean, they should fuck nasty, is the thing. Like, yeah. Cass says, you seem pleased. And Meg goes, we're gonna win. Can you feel it? You cloud-hopping pansies. Lost the whole damn universe. They should have. God. She can reclaim. Like, she can't. But, like, she can. But she can't. I mean, it is homophobic. It's a homophobic line. And they couple it with her, like, calling Cass impotent later. It's like... I mean, I think Meg uses sex as a way to lord power over people a lot, given that, like, sexual assault is, like, something she does basically every time she appears. So, like, it makes sense that she would say such things. She goes, Lucifer's gonna take over heaven. We're going to heaven, Clarence. And Clarence is an angel Clarence. In, like, a movie. I forgot what movie. But yeah, first Clarence. It's cute.
God, and they don't even know that they're going to be sharing a lot in the future. They're going to be buddies.
Yeah, they are. And Cass goes, strange, because I heard a different theory from a demon named Crowley. And Meg goes, you don't know Crowley. Do we learn more about their history in the future?
We see, like, them interact.
Yeah, I mean, he kills her.
I don't really recall in terms of history.
Cass says that, you know, Lucifer's just using the demons, and then once he takes over heaven, he'll just kill all of them. Meg goes, you're wrong. Lucifer is the father of our race, our creator. Your god may be a deadbeat. Mine walks the earth. She literally said, you're projecting, bro.
Literally.
God. Good for her.
She said, I'm not your fucking mirror, dude.
Exactly. And I do think part of her does believe what he says, but also, like, she doesn't want to, because, like, I don't know, she's got nothing else to do if she believes that Lucifer's gonna discard her after this. Like, she already decided he was gonna be, like, her new substitute dad, like...
Exactly.
Yeah, so she's sticking to this. She's being loyal, even if she has some doubts. And Cass finally gets the pipe free, and it slams Meg down through the fire into the ring, and he catches her in his arms, and he tries to, like, exercise her. I guess kill her, right? Because his thing is killing demons. Where he, yeah. He tries to smite her, but nothing happens. And she goes, you can't gank demons, can you?
It's this really fun pose too, where she's, like, leaning towards him, and he has his whole hand, like, over her forehead. It's very fun.
It is, but so it's not fun. Working. Yeah, and she has this, like, laughing, exhilarated energy, like, the whole time, and especially here. And she goes, you can't gank demons, can you? Because I guess that's one of the things he can't do from, like, losing some angel powers. And she goes, so what can you do, you impotent sap? Good for her, but also no. Also good for her. And Cass goes, I can do this. And, like, he leans closer. Like, he's about to kiss her. He learned this from Joe. He literally learned this from Joe. He saw her, like, reject Dean by almost kissing him and then pulling away earlier. And he was like, that's so cool. That's my friend Joe who I'm going to ride in the car with. And I'm going to use her moves. So, he does that. And then, before he actually kisses her, he fucking shoves her. And she falls down across the fire, and she forms like a bridge so that he can walk out of the ring, and she's screaming, and he steps on her back, and it's iconic. It's so good.
Cass teleports to where Sam and Dean are, and he, like, holds up a finger to his lips, like, shh, quiet. It's so fun.
It is.
I love this bit so much.
Yeah.
And they disappear, and as Lucifer turns around, he sees them just almost disappear. But death has arrived.
And there's no payoff to this whatsoever. We don't see... Like, there is some payoff in that there's a tornado, but, like, I would assume that raising death would be, like, a finale-esque activity, and the fact that, like, we immediately cut to them being perfectly safe in Bobby's house, and, like, nothing exploding or whatever, I don't know, it adds to my dislike of the episode. It feels like the stakes aren't real.
Yeah, they're in Bobby's house and they're looking at all this. They're looking at the news and Bobby just burns the photograph. Why, Bobby?
Yeah, like, it seems like
Keep
it would
that
be especially
shit to
precious.
yourself. Yeah.
And I think I sort of assumed that it was like
A pyre
Ellen Joe's
situation.
Yeah, it's a hunter's funeral thing because their bodies are not recoverable. But, like, make a photocopy of that, at least.
Well, maybe there is a photocopy. We never know.
True.
Yeah. And as, as it burns, they all watch. And by they all watch, I mean, they zoom in on Dean's face.
Yeah, and Joe's face.
Yeah.
Ellen died, too.
And literally, like, Bobby and Sam were also here.
And Bobby and Sam are also here. I hate it. I hate that that's the last shot. I hate that it's like, and it was all about Dean and Joe. Like, whatever.
Yeah. Okay, well, what did we think about this episode?
I mean, a lot of good scenes. I thought that the overall plot was messy and that the stakes didn't feel high enough and the cult not working was kind of stupid. But individual scenes were good. Loved Meg, loved Cass, loved Ellen, loved Joe.
I thought it was a completely fine episode. I've no gripes about it. So, yeah. Cool. What's best line, worst line?
I really liked when Joe said, like, Mom, this might literally be your last chance to treat me like an adult. Might want to take it. Because it is, like, a neat way to wrap up their arc.
Yeah, that's true. I would say, not a line, I suppose, but, like, when Ellen was talking and then she turns and she sees that Joe is already dead. Like, it does get to me. It got to me. And also when Dean goes, Bobby, there's something wrong. And Bobby reassures Dean by going, it's okay, it's what I'm here for. It did also make me emo.
The next one, Sam interrupted, and I know that is just a regular case episode, so there's really no immediate consequences to fucking death being raised. Like, it's stupid. Like, you need to move your episodes around. Whatever. Anyway, maybe next episode it will. Maybe Sam Interrupted is about death being raised, and I'm misremembering what it's about, but I'm pretty sure that it's a regular case episode. Whatever. It's fine. I don't care. Worst line.
Yeah. What's your worst line? There's no really... I don't know. I don't think there's any standout bad line. Can I just add even more best lines? I like Mine Walks the Earth, like Meg's line.
Yes.
Banger
that's
line.
Good.
I also like when Ellen calls Cass a big boy.
Yes.
So yeah, those are 2 additional best lines. So
I think
amounting to
when
4
Lucifer
in total.
said there's only 5 things in all of creation that gun can't kill, and I just happened to be one of them, I was annoyed. I was like, if you're gonna pull this on the audience, at least come up with a better explanation or something. Like, I gave Crowley a fake gun or some shit. Like, I'd take that. Writer sins. Spread those sheets.
Spread those sheets. I would say misogyny.
So
okay, how are we going
but we
to...
said that when characters die, we sort of will look at their whole arc, and I would say that there's an amount of misogyny in Joe's arc and in this episode with the ass shot. So I think that could be a 1.
Yeah, it could be a 1. I mean, again, like the Joe and Ellen's death, like I am apprehensive to call it misogynistic because of where it is in the story. Like, you know, like in retrospect, I would say it is, but in the moment, I don't think it was. So yeah, I think I'll give it a 1.
Yeah.
How about racism? I don't think there's any.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I don't think so. Homophobia. She does call Cass a pansy.
I mean, she does call Cass a pansy, and with Crowley, I'm not sure.
Right, Crowley's definitely some form of gay villain trope. I don't know how homophobic I would call it. I think just because I think he's slaying so much that it's hard for me to understand, like, get myself into the mindset of a viewer during that time and into that specific trope, so I don't know. So, like, I guess it's a 1 or a 2, but, like, I think feel maybe we could go with a 2. 1. Okay, a 2. Yeah, okay. I can go with that. All right. IMDb. I feel like people would like it because it's action heavy and has good individual scenes.
And it's iconic. It's iconic. People remember this episode.
So, okay. I think lower than Changing Channels, higher than The Real Ghostbusters. Probably on par with The End, which was a 9.1, so I'm gonna go with a 9.1. But okay, people also don't like Joe. 9.0? I'm gonna go with a 9.0.
I'm gonna go 8.8. Just like the IMDb for The Real Ghostbusters. Okay, let's see. Oh, it's a 9.2.
Oh, I should have gone with the 9.1. Well, well enough deserved because of the individual scenes.
Yeah, they're just saying that, like, it's really, the acting was good, and it was. It's a tragic, gut-wrenching episode. R.I.P. Ellen and Joe. Yeah. Nice to see Mark Shepard. They're saying Cass is funny, and he is.
Yeah, he is.
This is so fucking funny. I will spend my last night on Earth with a little thing called self-respect line. Was so good. But I wish they did make love. I retract everything I have ever said about the show. What a this person
says, oh, great. Sloshy Meg. What an unwelcome return. Hellhounds for backup. Wuss. What does this mean? What is Sloshy Meg? What does that mean? What's sloshy about her?
So fucking funny.
Yeah, and they said that Joe's death was really obvious. They called Bobby a heartless bastard. No, Bobby's clearly affected. He's just like trying to keep shit together. Like he just doesn't want to lose more people. He clearly cared.
Yeah.
They said, and Dean finally kissed Joe. Suck that, haters. Are you continuing
at all?
Yeah.
And she's dead also. Like she looks literally fucking dead.
She is dead also. Yeah, but I think people's reaction to this does, I think, bolster they were trying to make it about the Dean Joe epic love story thing, though, I think.
Maybe not epic love story. Maybe it's like what could have been.
Yeah. But it's just hard for me to think of them as what could have been because she was gone for 2 seasons and they never talked about her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, she was Dean's sister in It's a Terrible Life, right? Very funny of Zachariah.
Yeah. Do you think the shippers were real mad with that one?
I mean, we didn't read any reviews relating to that, but I'm sure someone somewhere was.
Yeah. Well, that's it for this episode of Busty Asian Beauties. Next week, we will be discussing Season 5, Episode 11, Sam Interrupted. Leave us a rating or review wherever you get your podcasts.
Follow us on social media. We are on Tumblr at bestieasianbeautiespod.tumblr.com. Our official tag is babpod, BABpod. Our Ko-fi is at ko-fi.com/bestieasianbeautiespod, and that is where our outtakes live. And you can also check out our merch at babpod.redbubble.com.
Yeah. You can email us at bestieasianbeautiespod@gmail.com. See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.